Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Well, it's kind of somewhere in between, actually. Hello, this is an ornithopter, little toy that I found while I was trawling the new arrivals section of Banggood, as I normally do. I'm not particularly interested in these as such, so I don't think I'll ever be getting any more than just this one. But if we look at the listing, which is here, it's pretty cheap, $22, and I thought I'd give it a try because it was cheap, and also, to be honest, I saw this video here that they've uploaded, and as you'll see in the video if you take a look at it, it actually flies fairly well. I was quite surprised. So I thought, well, alright, I'll get one myself and just give it a try. Weather's been a bit crap lately, but today it is very, very nice and almost no wind at all, so I thought I would take it out of the box today and see how it works. Speaking of the box, it got a bit crumpled in shipping. They actually put another piece of cardboard across the top here, which was nice, but nevertheless it's still got a bit sort of dented in, and I just noticed that the tail has a tail fin like a rudder. It seems to be completely loose. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be like that or not, but let me just get it out of the box, and I suppose I have to charge it up too, and we'll see how it goes. So that's a little bit of the specs there. It's kind of interesting that they say charging time is 15 to 20 minutes, but it must be a LiPo, so if you're charging a LiPo in that kind of time, it must be more than 1C charge, wouldn't it be? Anyway, so I'll take it out of the box and we'll see how it's constructed, and we'll see if that fin is actually broken or not. Interestingly, there's 4 wings on here. I didn't notice that when I first looked at the listing. You can see that there's 2 wing spars on each side. Why don't we take it out of the box first, eh? Okay, so this is what you get in the box, and what I was just trying to show you before is that there are actually 2 spars down the front of the wing, and there are 2 separate wings, which you can probably see there, I think. Yep. And even though they're separate, it doesn't look like they're supposed to move separately, because I can't really separate them from each other much. So that's kind of strange. And also here you can see this is how the motion is generated there. You've got sort of a crank on each side that pushes the wings up and down, but there's only 1 crank piece on each side, so those 2 wing spars are going to be moving together as far as I can tell. In fact, they might actually, yeah, they're actually attached to each other directly. What's going on here? I suppose it'll be more obvious when I turn it on and fly it as to how it works, but it's very light. It's sort of like 15 grams or something. And the battery is built in. 16 grams, alright. And that's the all-up weight because the battery is inside, and there's a very tiny little push button switch there, and a very, very tiny barrel connector, or whatever you call these little plugs. This very small, tiny little one there that goes onto a USB connection. That one there, very, very small. And when you turn it on, I noticed that the head of the bird lights up. So it looks like it has a bit of charge there. I don't think I would want to fly it straight out of the box just in case it's not fully charged. It's made of what looks like EPO foam, maybe even just plain old styrofoam, I'm not sure. And the tail section and this flat sort of stabilizer bit are, I think it's like the foam board, like the flight test people use, except it's only about 3 millimeters thick, I think. And there's another piece of EPO like foam for the tail. I think this tail is fine, it's not broken. This is quite interesting. You can see there's sort of a little electromagnetic coil there, and it's either going to be turned on or off. No, it's either going to be left or right or off, because as we'll see in a minute, there's only left and right buttons on the controller, so that's all you can do. So this is probably fine like that. And then you can see very, very small wire running up the back of the tail super tiny wire, which is the takes the power to the back for that magnet. And then we've got a little bit of soft rubbery. Actually, it's not that soft. Not sure if you're supposed to hold it like that or not. I'd probably throw it like that, I think. Anyway, so that's about all that we need to look at there, I think. The manual is 100% Chinese, unfortunately, but I don't think we really need it too much. Yeah, so like I was saying, it looks like you just have a throttle which would be a variable speed control for the flapping of the wings, so it's probably just a single motor that turns around relative to this position, speed relative to that position, and then this would either turn on or off the electromagnet at the back, one way or the other. So that's all it is. So presumably you can control your height a little bit like this, and then forward speed would be, I guess, also relative to that. So you're either going to go up and forward, or you're going to go down and slow. It's like there's no real control over them separately. And then there's that. And it takes 4 AA batteries with kind of a strange little clasping system I haven't seen before on here. You push that in, and you can slide it back. It's a bit of a weird one, never seen like that before. So it takes 4 AA batteries, and there's a switch on there. Interestingly, there is a USB plug here, so presumably because this is such a low power capacity thing, you could probably just charge it from the controller from the AA batteries in here. And of course, if you're like me, you'd be wondering what is inside here. Not much really, but just a couple of simple switches, some LEDs which seem completely unnecessary, but it's got them. And then over here under the back there is the variable resistor and USB thingy there. So I was interested to see what sort of radio chip that they had in here to control it. So I don't see one here, so of course I took this off and thought I'll just look on the back because it'll be on the back somewhere. But look at that, there's nothing there at all. There is the variable potentiometer thingy and on-off switch, and that's it. So I guess this little IC here must be doing the radio job. It says 5B241. That's about all there is on there. And there's just a very, very simple antenna there. Yeah. So what the hell is this thing? Well, I guess it's not doing anything complicated really, is it? So I suppose that's all that was necessary. Anyway, so I will charge the battery up, and then I'll take it outside, and hopefully we still have no wind, and take it for a little fly and see how it works. Oh, by the way, just as I'm putting this together, I thought I would mention that if you are interested in seeing some more of this kind of ornithopter stuff, that is the flapping wings radio control stuff, there's a guy in Japan who has a YouTube channel. His name is Kazuhiko Kakuta, and he makes these custom designs, his own design from scratch, and they're larger, usually fairly large, actually scale sizes, I think, a lot of them. And he makes, I'm not kidding, he makes a new one almost every week, and they're all really cool. So I'll put a link to his YouTube channel in the description if you want to go and take a look at that. It's well worthwhile. I've subscribed to his channel, and so I've been seeing all of the stuff that he makes as he makes it and uploads it. Actually, I've just noticed recently though that he's been flying quadcopters, and he's started doing some FPV quadcopter stuff. So maybe right at the moment you might see less of the ornithopters coming out, but definitely if you look at his past uploads, there'll be a lot of this kind of thing, but much cooler. So you can go and check that out. When you plug the charger in, there's a little LED there that shows up in red. I'm not sure what this is going to do when the charge is complete, or maybe that means the charge is complete, but I'll just leave it for a while and see if that LED goes off or changes color, and I'll let you know. Okay, so the light goes off when it's fully charged by the looks of it, because it went off after a while, so I'm going to assume that we are good to go. And I have some batteries in here now. When you turn it on, the green light comes on, flashes a couple of times. Okay. So let's see if we can, what I want to try and do is turn the motor slowly so I can see what's going on here. Oh, nothing happening. Ah, so it's like my old Hubsan X4 maybe, you need to go up fully and then down. Ooh. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. That whole plastic piece is one. They're connected through to the other side, except they swap over so that the one on the lower wing on this side is connected to the upper wing on that side. That's as slow as it goes. Whoa. Okay. So when you're not pushing one of those buttons, it's just flopping around at the back, the rudder. Okay, I guess it's working. I noticed in the instruction booklet too, it says something about these elevator pieces. They're fixed, so you can't control them while you're flying, but it says something about like tweaking them up or down to improve the flight or something like that. But this is how they arrived when it came out of the box. So I'm just going to leave them like that. They're up a little bit. Okay, I think we are ready to see how this flies. Is it going the right way? So I go right, left. Yeah, that's good. Cool. Let's do it. So I'm going to give it a fly now. This is actually my second battery because I recorded a whole flight or many flights with my hat cam pointing too far, so all you could see was sky, which is very unfortunate, but it did give me a chance to learn how to fly it, and I think I've got the hang of it now, and I'm not too bad at it at the moment. And it really helps that there is almost no wind at all. So this is the kind of conditions that you're going to need. I'm just trying to show you the grass there. You can see it's barely even moving. Because any more than a little bit of wind and you're going to be walking along behind it as it moves with the wind. It's only 16 grams after all. So anyway, let's give it a little launch. And as I fly, I'll have to try and remember what I was thinking about the first time I flew it. So this is heading into the wind here, what little wind we have. And I'm just under half throttle. And the throttle position is very sensitive because if you put it too high, it will start to swoop and go swoopy swoopy like that. It's a little bit, not touching it at the moment, maybe a little more throttle. So it sort of flies itself, if there's, provided that there's no wind, of course. And I actually found that I could get it to land on my hand fairly reliably. Of course, as soon as I try and do it on video, it doesn't work. But you could see that. Actually, wind is there, isn't it? Okay, that is full throttle. Full throttle and half throttle. See how it's pitching up and down? That means the throttle's a little bit too high, I think. It's a little bit too low, so there is a really, really small range of throttle. Ooh. There's a very small range of throttle in which you can keep it
which you need to keep it if you want it to maintain like a level altitude. The other characteristics of it that I noticed pretty quickly are it doesn't move forward much. If you give it full throttle, it just sort of goes like that, which is okay. If you want it to go forward quickly, you can glide, which I'll have a go at now. But the gliding, it doesn't work very well if the wings stop at that point. My hammer's crooked, isn't it? I hope this is getting on camera. But if the wings stop at that point, it'll glide quite well. And I've also noticed that if it stops at that point, a little bit of movement like this will kind of coax the wings to move towards each other like that, and then it glides fairly nicely. The other thing you can do is, instead of just cutting the throttle very quickly to glide, just roll the throttle off a little bit slower, and it will tend to end up with the wings in this closed position more often than in the open position like that. Anyway, let's try a bit of a glide. See how the wings are open there? Hey, came back to me. Good little birdie. You like your papa, don't you? And it's really nice when there's no wind. Just before, when I was flying it, there was a bit of wind, and it was a bit of a handful. Like, at the moment I'm pretty much able to travel in whichever direction I want to and control everything quite nicely. Oh, you little bastard. Control everything quite nicely, but with even a tiny little bit of wind, you're basically just hovering into the direction of the wind. You can't make any forward movement, unless you glide, of course, and then you go forwards quite quickly, but also lose a lot of altitude very quickly. So it's a bit of a strange thing. It's to control it. It's not very consistent when you're controlling. Maybe you can see this. I don't know. But you just sort of have to hold the button on and wait for it to respond, and it doesn't always respond quickly. It can be quite slow before it happens. It seems to hold a straight line reasonably well. But like I say, there's almost no wind, so oh, well, that was my fault. Yeah, that was my fault, that one. I should have just kept it coming that way. But maybe that can let you see that the glide slope is very, very steep. Even though it's nice, it does glide, and it does control fairly well while it's gliding. It just loses a lot of altitude quickly. It's a funny thing, you sort of need forward movement to get altitude almost. So in that respect, it's a bit like a plane. And also, you don't gain much altitude when you're going with the wind, which is also like a plane. I mean, that lift characteristic is similar. Let's see if so I'm quite a ways up there. I'll see what happens if I try and glide it towards me from there. Oh yeah, well that worked out fairly well, but you could see it needed a lot of height to do any kind of gliding. It's quite a bit of fun though. I'm surprised. Like, oh, you got a bug on your beak? Poor little baby. Let me get that off. I'm quite surprised though. I wasn't expecting to have it be this controllable. See if I can fly it close around me so that you can get a better look at it while it's flying, because I know in the video it's often too small, isn't it? This is quite difficult. Go. turning seems to make a... When you turn at the same time as a swoop, you get you get much more of a turn, a yaw movement. So the timing of using the rudder seems to be quite important as well. Yes, it is. Come to Papa. Cut. Oh, by the way, it doesn't seem to be happening now, but in my earlier flight when I was doing this, every now and then after a landing, or not even a landing, maybe I just caught it and I stopped the motor, it would stop responding, almost as if the radio link was not working. And I found that I had to, I think, turn this off and turn it on, or maybe even just it turned itself off. I'm not sure, because one of the problems is it's really hard to see what that LED is doing out in the sunlight. If you make the motors go real slow, you can descend, but you go forwards a lot. Motors going really fast generally makes it climb and slows the forward movement. So it's a weird thing to control, and ultimately I have to say it's not really anywhere near as controllable as a plane, but I guess you probably expected that. Oops. Oh, shit. I gotta catch it with this hand so I can cut the throttle, don't I? But it's a lot of fun. I think for $22 or whatever, this is quite impressive, really. It's a fairly ambitious sort of a thing to try and make as a ready-to-fly product, with that funny gearing system in there, and including the control in it as well. So I think overall it's a little bit better than I expected. Fly by. Fly by. Whoa. Oh, if you hold the rudder to one side and give it lots of throttle, it'll just spiral down and crash. Oh no. Oh, it's okay now. Here we go. Yeah, let's not do that. So it's very it's very inconsistent, I'll give it that. Come here. Come here. There we go. You're very inconsistent, aren't you? Yes, you are. Yeah, but I guess there's not much more to say. But I think for $20 it's not bad. How does that work? Oh, I see. I'm surprised that hasn't broken yet. It looks very fragile. Oh yeah, the other thing that surprised me when I was flying before is I was stopping and starting quite a bit, like I am now, to like catch it and like say something about it. And when I looked at the length of the video, it was about 20 minutes long. So I think the 7-minute flight time that they say on the box is a little bit conservative. I think it probably went for easily more than 7 minutes. Say goodbye to YouTube, birdie. Bye bye.